This is the Spokane Soccer Show, proudly presented by Flatstick Pub, where we're recording live. And I am your dedicated host, Benji Wade. Joining me to serve up only the best vibes about all things soccer in the fine city of Spokane, it's Velocity FC head coach Leigh Veidman, defender and fullback Derek Waldeck, midfielder Andre Lewis, and midfielder and captain of the team, Luis Gil. I kind of want to start with a bit of a pick-me-up, a bit of a let's start with some appreciation. Coach, these players, everybody here. I think as an expansion team in the USL, it would have been justified, certainly understandable, if you had set this team up to play a word that I use on the podcast sometime. We're going to do a little bit of vocab. We're going to do a little bit of education. Direct, maybe transitional. But we're not set up that way. We're set up to play, I think you used these words once upon a time, Coach, to play proper football, play through the lines. Talk a little bit about that, about the decision to commit to some certain principles. And I imagine it hasn't always been easy to stick with those principles, but maybe it has.
Yeah, it's a really deep answer I can go into, but I'll try and keep it brief.
Welcome to the Spokane Soccer Show.
That's how I see the game. I see the game as not being direct. I like the game, one, to be entertaining, because I want to play in a team that I would want to watch from the stadium. And that's important to me. And I like to play football. I like to play forward. And if we don't have the ball, I want the ball back. And that's essentially how I am trying to set this team up. And these guys do a fantastic job of trying to execute that vision. But ultimately, it's about making the game entertaining for you. You want to come to the stadium and watch something that is enjoyable. Whether we lose 3-0 like we did a couple of weeks ago, but we played an amazing game of football. We didn't put the ball in the back of the net, but we played well and it was entertaining. Sometimes, if we're losing a game, or it's a tied game, or it's a 4-3 game, I'd rather the game be entertaining. Of course we want to win. But for me, it's about making it entertaining for you, but also playing our style of football. And that's what's important, is bringing those two things together. We are one, you the fans, us the team, the club, and it's about building something here together as a city that is going to be something that is here and sustainable, but also entertaining, and of course brings success to the city and the team as well.
I think early on I was not knowing what to expect. I haven't watched a lot of USL soccer, honestly. Anybody who listens to the podcast knows that. And I kind of probably expected, because I've seen, of the games that I had seen in the USL, there's a lot of direct play, a lot of transitional play. Could one of you define what that means? When I say direct and transitional, what that even means? Can somebody just take that on?
Yeah, the defender or the goalkeeper gets the ball and kicks it as far as they can. And hopefully they get the first, second, third or fourth ball. And if they don't, they've got to defend and run the other way. And that's really what it is, direct football. There's no real playing 10, 15-yard passes, trying to play through a team's pressure. It's just get it as far as possible down the other end, and that's really what that is.
Have there been times where you've thought about the principles of, should we sometimes play a little more direct? Has that come up at all?
Yes, versus Ballard.
Okay.
So Ballard in the Open Cup did a really, really good job against us, defending. Yeah. And the surface was difficult to play on. And at halftime, we were we're just going to have to go a little bit more direct. And thankfully, it worked for us.
Yeah, that's when you brought out the 4-4-2, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
All right, I'm already getting a little too technical here. Let's dial it back. Let's start. I actually meant to start with kind of a softball question. We've all heard it many, many times before. Let's do it. The GOAT, the greatest of all time.
Greatest of all time?
Messi or Ronaldo? Come on, let's do it.
Come on.
Messi. No questions.
Okay. So Coach is right. Anybody else want to go?
Ronaldo.
I'll be right as well. Messi.
No. Ronaldo. It's not even a question.
If anybody has watched Spokane Velocity play soccer, if anybody's watched this man score goals, you've seen his celebration, you knew how he's going to answer that question. And you know what? He's right. It is. I think Ronaldo's fair. What about you, Andre?
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo. Okay,
Yeah,
so
Ronaldo.
2 for Ronaldo. I want to get a show of hands. Who says Ronaldo?
Oh.
Okay, who says Messi?
Okay, I'm out of here. All right, see you guys.
All right, I'm going to give everybody an out on this one. If you said Ronaldo, you're not entirely wrong, because here's why. That dude had 100 goals by the time he turned 20 years old. He had 47 in a single season at age 19 for Barcelona. See where I'm going here? He won the Ballon d'Or at age 21. So R9, Ronaldo. Acceptable answer. Nobody's with me on this at all. There are two Ronaldos. There's a Brazilian Ronaldo and there's a Portuguese Ronaldo. I think if you said the Brazilian Ronaldo, that's also acceptable, but it's Messi or him. Or Maradona. I think Maradona would have been okay as well. All right, well.
Very disappointed right now. Very disappointed.
You look a little stung, my man.
Yeah, I am. I'm shocked.
I think you're just going to do that celebration even harder next time you score a goal.
Yes.
If you didn't know that, okay, Cristiano Ronaldo's very famous goal celebration, that's the one that Luis has been using when he scores goals. Okay. Education. I sometimes take these little facts for granted. I can tell by this audience so far, we're going to need a little bit of education, and that's okay. That's why we're here. That's why the Spokane Soccer Show exists. Okay, I'm going to go one by one with a couple of facts about each of you, and we're going to follow up with some questions that were submitted by our wonderful supporters. Shout out 509 Syndicate. Andre, 3 Jamaican players were taken in the 2014 MLS Super Draft in the top 8, including you and Andre Blake, Damian Lowe. Shout out. They're still playing with Philadelphia Union right now. You had 14 caps for the Jamaican youth national team, 3 for the senior team. What's the favorite stadium that you've ever played at in your career? You've been in many places.
The Azteca in Mexico.
Where?
The Azteca in Mexico.
Azteca in Mexico. Okay. Tell me about that experience. What was that like?
So I was in high school at that time playing with the senior team. It was an awesome experience for me. I didn't get to go on the field, but I cherished that moment because it was World Cup qualifying.
Follow-up question to that. Best player you ever played with or against in your career? We're going to say present company excluded so that these guys don't look at each other and have like a moment of like, he's going to kill me if I don't say him.
I play with, I'm pretty sure a lot of guys here probably not going to know him, but his name is Pedro Morales when I was in Vancouver.
Okay.
He's from Chile. He played in La Liga with Malaga, and then he come to Vancouver. He was the captain. But I also love my friend that I grow with him. His name is Cardell Bembo. He's really good for me. Okay. I watch him grow. We grow together and we do the same thing. And for me, he's one of the best.
All right, Derek, your turn. You were a 2-time national champion with NCAA national champion with Stanford Cardinal. Did everybody know that? This guy, national champion 2 times. You played with guys like Corey Baird, who's currently a winger with FC Cincinnati. Played with Drew Skundrich and Zach Ryan, who are still playing there at Loudoun, both of them. Velocity FC is your 4th professional team. Favorite stadium you ever played at?
Favorite stadium as a professional, right?
Actually, it could be anywhere.
Anywhere? Okay, I'll give one in college, one as a professional then. Wake Forest University during my college career.
Okay.
We went there in the quarterfinals, I think en route to a national championship one of those years. Played in front of probably 6,000 plus. That was a really cool experience. As a pro, I think Forward Madison might be it. They packed that place out with 5,000 to 6,000. It's a super old stadium. The surface is not great at all, but it's a really fun environment. Just fans everywhere. And then, of course, One Spokane Stadium's up there
good
as
answer.
well for me. So
shout out.
That one's good, and it's only going up from here.
Best player that you played with or against?
Funny you named Corey Baird, because that's the first one who came to mind for me. I think he's up there.
Yeah, he's done very well in his career, too. I forgot to ask a question. We'll come back to Andre so he can answer. Best goal you ever scored? Derek, you go first.
Well, I only have one as a professional, so I'm probably going to have to say that one.
Wait,
it was just
what?
a little...
Turnover. Ball skipping through and in! And North Texas takes the lead.
It was just a little tap in around the keeper. That's my one and only goal that I can remember. Unless you count goals scored for the other team, then I guess those of you who were at the Chivas match might remember that.
Hey, too soon, man.
Was it over the line? I don't know. But,
too soon. If you know, you know, but
go.
too soon. That does not count. Andre, what was the best goal you ever scored? I already feel like I've seen at least 2 of them, dude.
I will go with the one against Vegas.
Really?
In the Open Cup, but
Okay.
also I can't leave out my goal. I can't leave out my goal against France in the U17 World Cup in
nice.
Mexico.
Is it online?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, nice. I'll have to look that up. Against France?
Yeah.
Where was it at?
In Mexico.
Oh, okay.
France with defending to do, they could be in trouble. And Jamaica score their second goal of this tournament. Took it really well indeed, Andre Lewis. And don't they have something to celebrate? Ahead inside 10 minutes, the Reggae Boys.
That's the first who have ever gained a point in the U17 World Cup.
Luis Gil signed a Generation Adidas contract at age 16 to become a professional. You were 16, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You were such a SoCal boy. The first 3 words I ever heard you say were literally, "This is awesome." And I was like, holy cow, this dude sounds like he just stepped out of the central casting for Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh, this is awesome. This is top notch. Since day one coming here.
And you played at the legendary IMG Academy, where I assume, shout out Salwa, is that where you 2 met?
Oh, that is, yeah.
At the IMG Academy? If you don't know, it's, think, like one of the most elite sports academies. You describe it.
Yeah, I mean, I was there with the national team. We kind of used it like as a boarding place, basically, just to live there. But just a big academy in Bradenton, Florida. They were pretty big, like on tennis.
Yeah.
But I mean, they had all sports there. But that's kind of like where I became the player that I became.
And that's where you met Salwa, who
That's
was
where I
playing,
met her,
playing
yeah.
tennis
She
at
was
the
a tennis
IMG
girl,
Academy.
yeah.
Okay.
Little tennis star over there.
Yeah, and Luis Jr.'s obviously got some athletic genes, so watch
Yeah,
out.
hopefully, yeah, there you go.
Is it going to be like a Bronny James situation? Or are you going to try to wait out your professional career till you guys can play together?
No, I don't know if I'll make it that long.
Okay, all right. As somebody who is the age that you would have to be for that to happen, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
You did play, I didn't even realize this till recently, you did play briefly in Liga Mekis
Yep.
with a club called Querétaro.
Querétaro. Yep.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it was a great experience. I mean, that was my dream, was to play in Liga MX. Coming from a household where, that was the league that we watched. My dad was such a big, even though he was an America supporter.
Club America. Okay.
Yeah, he was a Club America supporter. So, I mean, just to, have that dream fulfilled was, just the greatest experience for me.
Nice. You played 62 caps for the U.S. national team, U.S. youth national team, and 2 for the senior team. Favorite stadium you ever played at?
Favorite stadium that I've ever played at? That's tough. I would say atmosphere-wise, Seattle Sounders. As much as I hated playing, like on
which venue?
The same that they play at.
Okay, the one they're at now.
Yeah.
What's it called? Lumen.
It's Lumen now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hear they have a soccer team there.
Yeah. It was just having those football lines. Just kind of made it. Yeah.
If you've heard the podcast, don't get me started on the football lines.
Yeah.
Thank you, ownership of Spokane Velocity, for making sure that crap would never be inflicted on us. There will not be any football lines while you're watching soccer.
Yeah.
Best teammate you ever played with?
Best teammate?
Not teammate. Best player. We're just going to go by kind of like, with or against, talent, present company excluded.
That's tough because I take things from different players. I mean, I'll say when I was in Orlando, I played with Kaká for a bit.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And he was just next level. But also with the national team, I mean, playing with Landon Donovan was just, he was kind of like my idol growing up, kind of like Captain America. So
Yeah.
it was, Landon Donovan has always been an inspiration to me as well. So
Nice. I think somebody just got a hole in one. That might have, it sounded like a shout out for Landon Donovan, but there's some mini golf being played right now, and I think somebody just did something impressive. Best goal you ever scored?
Best goal I ever scored. My favorite one I would have to say is in the U20 World Cup against Spain.
Trap, here's Gil. Rodriguez one side. Defenders quickly getting back. Gil goes for goal and finds the top corner. And it might only be a consolation, but it's a stunning finish from Luis Gil. Right out of the top draw.
Ooh.
Yeah, we got our butts kicked, but I mean, still, that goal that I scored was
Who were some of the
else.
players on the other team?
On the other team, you had Isco, Got a couple other ones. I'm not really can't think of it at the top of my head, but I can name him for one of them.
Nice. Coach Leigh Veidman.
About me, I don't even know about myself.
No, I'm taking it easy on you tonight, Coach. You played in both Liverpool and Everton's academy. You've coached it. Oh, we're coming to that. Enrique, I see you, man. You played in both Liverpool and Everton's academy, which is wild, by the way. You've coached for 5 different teams in the USL. What's your favorite stadium that you ever played at?
It's kind of biased, but the favorite stadium has to be Anfield, which is where Liverpool play.
Okay.
So yeah, that's definitely the favorite stadium.
I guess that's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah.
When I said that you played in Liverpool's academy, it was probably like I knew the answer that was coming.
Yeah, it's I did play at Everton Stadium, but wasn't nowhere near as good. Little different.
I thought I'm just going to ask you now because I just got to check in with Coach on how he's doing. From Jurgen Klopp to I'm going to get canceled for pronouncing this man's name, but I'm going to try it right now. Arne Slot?
Yeah, I think it's Arne Slot.
Arnie? Okay.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Don't know. I don't know much about him.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, I don't. I'm still a little bit upset about Klopp leaving, so I'm not ready to open up to the new manager yet and learn a little bit more about him. So yeah, we'll see how he does. I think he's got to earn everybody's respect first at the club before he just gets it. So that's just how we are.
Best player with or against?
I would say it was. I did technically play against Steven Gerrard at one point when I was in the academy, so I would have to say him.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's better than Kaká. I'm throwing it out there. Hey, listen, it's my podcast, you know? Ronaldo, Kaká. Is everybody here? Show of hands if you know who Kaká is. Hey,
Good,
it's pretty good. Legendary Brazilian player. Okay.
Show of hands if you know who Steven Gerrard is.
Yeah.
All right, good.
The same people just raised their hand. All right. Best goal you ever scored?
I've got
too
to do
many.
it. I've got to do it. I scored at Anfield in the cup, so
Ooh.
yeah.
All right.
I've got to go with that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understandable.
It wasn't a great goal, but it was a goal, and
Okay.
it was in the cup at Anfield. So
No overhead kicks over here, huh?
absolutely
Nobody?
No.
Okay. All right. Give me a moment to decide where I want to go next here. Let's do some vocab. Luis. Interchange.
Interchange.
It's a term I brought up recently on the Spokane Soccer Show talking about the Spokane Shadow WPSL team. Shout out. Incredible, incredible team. And their coach, Drew Williams, who's also a Newcastle United supporter. Just want to shout out Drew wherever you are, whenever you listen to this. He brought up the term interchange and its importance to the club and what they were going to try to do that night in a 4-3-3. Tell me about interchange and what that term means.
Interchanging, I mean, there's a couple ways you could look at it. I mean, a big thing is individually, like as players, movements like off the ball, whether it be in the attack or in the defense, kind of taking on that other player's position and vice versa. Can
you give me an example in velocity, like what you guys do when you're set
Okay,
up?
so like in a way where we can interchange in positions like me and Andre. Andre's on the ball quite often, and he decides to go forward, and in a way he's has the advantage to go forward. But if there's a situation where he loses the ball and I'm maybe a step or two behind him, we kind of interchange in positions, and maybe I'll take on the role of the defensive end of it while he kind of stays a little bit higher.
Does everybody understand that? Interchange. Thank you, Luis Gil. It's wonderful. Tell us about a moment with each of these 3 players that sticks out to you, something you've maybe even never shared with them.
I always tend to lean towards the people that we've got here, which is massively important. But I'll try and blend in some football and some personal stuff. I think the big one, starting from Luis to Derek, is building a new team and a new squad. You do your homework on the players personally and what they're about, right? You don't just bring in, excuse my French, any assholes into the team. You got to find the right people, and of course, players that fit how you want to play too. So you bring in good people into the club, but with Luis, obviously he's got a fantastic resume in terms of where he's played, but he comes in with a real humility and no ego at all. And he's played against Kaká. I mean, come on, who wouldn't have an ego about that, right? Like, but the guy comes in and he's helping guys like Mikey on the team, the youngest guy on the team, with advice about how to play the position. So I think the big thing from that is, and this is for all of these guys who have done great things in the game, is having the humility, and there's just no ego, and just a continuous growth mindset to be better, and just helping any guy on the team when needed. So that was the main thing that stood out with Luis for me. With Andre, he's kind of a quiet leader. Doesn't necessarily, he's not the most vocal guy on the pitch, but he's somebody who leads by example. He's somebody who has a quiet word with players when it's needed. And Andre also has a fantastic resume, and I think that information and that the advice essentially given to guys is taken on board heavily. And sometimes I think any guy, these three experienced guys and the other experienced guys who got in the team, I don't think any of them realize how impactful their words are to some of the the newer, younger guys on the team. So that would be Andre for sure, and then of course the Ballard goal is obviously one of them as well, which was an absolute screamer. And then Derek is another one who just leads by example every single day. He's also the fine master, and he doesn't like to admit this. So Derek's in charge of the fines for the team. He acts like he doesn't like it, but Derek is daily patrolling the field, the locker room, trying to find any piece of information he can so he can find somebody. So he says he doesn't like the fines, but he loves trying to find fines for guys. So if he ever tells you otherwise, don't listen to him. But Derek is a true professional, an amazing human being. I can say amazing things about every guy on the team, to be honest with you, and I'd run out of vocabulary. But yeah, they're the three things I'll keep it at for now.
I wish we had every single player here. Honestly, that would be amazing, but completely impractical. But I think, where's he at? I'm going to dig him out right now. Ahmed, are you here? Oh, there he is. Ahmed Longmire's here as well. If we have time, we will sneak him up here for a question or two. Derek Waldeck. I have a note. I don't even know when I wrote this. I think I had this idea of doing something like this and must have taken a note thinking about the players that I wanted to invite up here that would represent some type of, represent the team in the best possible way. Shout out Ahmed for being here as well. I have small but fierce. And then I wrote, he's 5'8". And then I started to do a little research. I was like, wait, he's a fullback though. And just to throw this out here, Jordi Alba, 5'7". Danny Alves, 5'8". Probably the greatest fullback of all time, Roberto Carlos, is 5'6". So I was like, maybe I should caveat the idea that you're quote unquote small but fierce by saying most of the greatest soccer players of all time, including, we all agreed earlier on that it was Messi is the GOAT. I think Messi's 5'4". So being a smaller player, I also want to bring up this game against Northern Colorado. Bruno Rendon lined up at right wing, and before the game I'd been warned by my friends of NOCO, watch out for that player. He's clearly a special player, but he's also massive. And at the beginning of the game, they kept trying to send Bruno down the right wing against you, and you were shutting shit down that whole first half. Second half, they didn't even go to the right wing. And I ran into you after the game, and you were kind of like, yeah, and I was relieved when they stopped going to him over there. How do you approach the game when you're playing against bigger, physical wingers, like a Bruno Rendon, who, I don't remember the number, but he's 6'1" and probably 200 pounds?
Yeah, funny you bring him up, because some teammates of mine from Knoxville last year, we jokingly called him Hercules because I was matched up. And last year when I was in Knoxville, when Bruno was at
Hercules was the nickname? Okay.
We called him Hercules because you get a 5'8" guy versus a 6'1", 6'2", just big dude. And he's a handful. He's a great player. But I was told when I was young that your size really doesn't matter on the field. What matters is your brain and your mentality. And so that's what I've really tried to take into the game. Obviously, being a quote-unquote undersized fullback, it's so much more about how I can read the game, how quickly I can react.
The header. Martinez puts one for Rendon to chase to. Waldeck had to get it perfect, and he did. he'll put it right into his stride as well.
Angles of approach, all these small little details that you might not necessarily see from the outside, but I see on the inside while the game's going on. And so thankfully all those little details are things that I've kind of been able to grow and learn throughout my time as a pro. And yeah, I mean, when I get matched up with guys like him who are going to beat me in a foot race, I know I have to give myself an extra half a yard or so. I want to avoid getting into foot races with guys like him. So it's really just about trying to be smarter, wittier than him.
Is it like I've had moments of watching your play where I'm like, I know how much you like to get down and connect on the attacking side of the pitch, right? But when you're defending a player, regardless of whether they're a Hercules like a Rendon, is it angles and spacing, and how much of it is also like cover of like knowing, all right, Marcelo, my left center back, or whoever's in that pivot role is going to be there to, like, if I'm far flung at the other end and trying to whip in crosses, that somebody's got my back.
Yeah, I mean, defending truly is an art, and it's not always just about being able to put in a big tackle that are going to get oohs and ahs from the crowd. It's who's getting the better of that matchup between you and your guy. And thankfully, I have a great back line. I have great midfielders and great attackers that I'm surrounded by on the field. Because it's really, in that type of game against Northern Colorado, it's not just me against Bruno the whole time. It's guys who are getting pressure on the ball to make my job easier. And when they do a great job of that, my job becomes easier. So it's credit to the guys on the field as well, and just being together in all of that.
Andre Lewis. Open Cup hero. That's my phrase that I have written down for Andre. Look, I know we're a young soccer town, especially when it comes to professional soccer, but I think we will come to appreciate in time what was written in the story of professional soccer, specifically Spokane Velocity, this spring, just kidding. I'm terrible with dates, apparently. The left foot thing, I gave you a hard time about it after the Ballard game, because here's been if you haven't heard the podcast, this might be a little bit fresh, but I'm going to add some nuance to it. My friend Brendan Mays, who I did a preview of all the players on the podcast that were going to come in, when we took notes and he told me his experience of watching you play, he was like, watch out, this dude loves to bomb it from outside the box in particular. He likes to shoot from distance. And I was like, okay, I'll keep an eye out for that. You made an appearance. The first appearance was in the Tacoma Defiance, the last preseason game. And you came on, I think, for the last maybe 20 minutes. Lee can check my math on any of this. And you had a moment, top of the box, and you shot it with your left foot. And I was like, interesting. You hit it pretty clean. I was like, we kind of needed that in that game. It was like somebody should just take a crack, right? So, note taken. And then the Ballard game happens. Roman, long throw in.
Long throw comes in. It's loose and it's in! Andre Lewis at the death! The dagger for Spokane Velocity!
90+6. This was a dreadfully difficult game. Quick surface, as Lee was mentioning, very direct. Ballard just came out and just immediately smacked the ball every time they got it and ran. It was hard to watch, to be totally honest with you. And you rescued us with that left-footed bomb. Okay? So I was like, all right, second note. I'm, again, revisiting my notes that I had on you as a player. I'm like, is he left-footed? LA Force game, you injured yourself.
Coming in, Reedy's cross out in front, headed away. The volley is saved. The rebound is in. Spokane scores. Luis Gil.
Shooting the ball in the 85th minute, this guy puts back the deflection, and we win that game. But you hurt yourself hitting it as hard as you could with your left foot. I promise I'm going somewhere with this. Have you seen the movie Princess Bride?
No.
Do you know so you don't know the character Inigo Montoya? Anybody here know Inigo Montoya from Princess Bride?
Why are you smiling? Because I know something you don't know. And what is that? I am not left-handed.
And for me, that moment for you was, I know something you do not know, I am not left-footed. Follow up the LA Force game, the Vegas Lights game, the next Cup game. You hit that ball with your right foot from about, what, 36, 37 yards out? I don't even know.
For Spokane. There can't be much time left. Luis, he'll go for goal! Oh, he's done it! Andre Luis from way downtown! He is salvaged it again for Spokane!
And so clean. Rafael Rosarena going to want to do better with this one.
And then you followed that up with a goal against Richmond, again with your right foot. Maybe it's because you hurt your left foot.
Now a chance to drive forward. Pierre Reedy skips past two. Pierre Reedy, two in the box with him. Lays it off. Top of the area. Luis! He has a tendency for the spectacular. Unbelievable first-time effort from the top of the 18.
I want you to just talk to us a little bit about what you told me after the Ballard game. I haven't shared this, the video that I took of you and your left foot.
So I don't know, for some reason with my left foot, whenever I scored, it's always a spectacular goal. And I can tell you guys, whenever I scored my left foot, it's always a spectacular goal. I don't know, but it happens. So in that game, I mean, it's who really wanted that ball, because after the ball come on top, there was a guy there, but I wanted more. So I see the goal, I see the ball, and I just go in and I smash it. And I smash it as hard as I can. It ended up in the back of the net that we take it.
You told me that you specifically warned your teammates, like, watch out. If I hit it with my left foot, I'm going to hit it as hard as I can. And I was like, oh, so you warned them like it's going to hit Rosie? And you were like, no, but it also might go into the top of the goal.
Oh, yeah, because the week before that we played Richmond, the open game here, and I got a ball on top of the 18 and I smashed it over the crossbar.
Trying to shield it off. Comes down for the strike. And what a chance for Andre Luis from the penalty spot, and he scuffed it high up.
So everyone, especially the assistant coach Renato, he was, every day he keep mocking me like, what were you doing? What were you thinking? So I tell him, whenever I scored my left, you will see. And that was it.
We have a true two-footed player right here is what we're trying to say. Well, talk to me a little bit about just your experience of the Open Cup and what you meant to those games. I mean, I had a moment, I'm just going to admit, I wondered how Coach Leigh was feeling. So a quick note about how this tends to work. Competitions. In USL's League One, you start off in 3 competitions, unless I'm missing one, right? You've got the League, you've got the Jägermeister Cup, and you have the Open Cup. And I was like, we're an expansion team. We're still building out this squad. There's some part of me that wondered, is Leigh going to be okay if we don't survive this competition? And here you go, 90 minutes plus 7 against Las Vegas. I was getting ready to go pick up my kid, and I look up and I'm like, he just hit that. Oh my God, it went in. I want either one of you to speak on the feeling at that moment when that happened. Actually, any 4 of you could speak on Andre and his Open Cup magic.
For the first Open Cup game, for sure, I didn't want to go to extra time.
That's you and me both, because I was freezing.
I mean, I was like 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks late in preseason, and my fitness level was low-key catching up on me, but I didn't want to show signs of weakness.
It's true. You went to full 90, which you had to remind me of. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't want to turn around and be like, "Hey, coach, I can't go on." So I didn't want to go to extra time, and
yeah. But on that Ballard game though, too, I was kind of happy he scored that game because that was supposed to be a rest game for me.
Yeah.
No, Leigh was for the Ballard game. Leigh was about to put me in, and I was like, you know what? I don't know if I want to go into this game, But I mean, he scored in the last minute, so I was like, thank you, Andre.
All right, Leigh, we're in the zone of truth here. How were you feeling 90 plus 6? I think Mikey got hurt against LA, and we were carried a couple injuries, and here we are, 90 plus 6, getting ready to go to extra time if something magical happens. And Josh squares the ball to Andre 35, at least 35 yards out, and he scores a goal. Was some part of you like, that's amazing, and also we have to play 30 more minutes?
Yes and yes, basically. It was, listen, I always have to bring it back to the coach perspective, which my girlfriend here always goes, yes, coach, and makes fun of me every time I give some advice. Okay, coach. But it's just like, to see that character in the team that early, to fight and find a way through those games is impressive. because that typically sets the bar early on for what's to come. So I think it's important that we did have those moments, and we had that grit and that fight to find a way to win a game, because, you know, as a coach, you always want to control the game. You want to keep the ball. You want to manage your attacks. You want to get the ball back if you don't have it. And sometimes you just got to find a way to win and win ugly, you know, and that's what it's about. So it was great to see we had those moments in us early on in our youthful start as a club.
I'm going to do a combo question here. Emmy, is Emmy here tonight? I don't think she's here. I don't think she can make it. But Emmy had a question about when are we going to have our derby? What's our kind of regional derby going to be? There's a team that's being formed out of Eugene. I would have asked more questions, but Ryan just left, so whatever. There's a team in Eugene, Oregon that's going to be starting to play in USL's League One. I think next year, that'll be our like natural regional rival, and that'll be a quote unquote, it's called a derby when you play against a local rival, right? But I want to ask, do you, the four of you, feel like in the games you've played, especially the clubs that you've already played a couple games against, which includes like Richmond, Omaha, and Greenville, do you consider any of them a little bit of a rival so far? I kind of feel like I know what you're going to say.
For me personally, yeah, it's Omaha. They even call it the Gil Derby for some reason. But, I mean, it's just because they were my team last year. But
yeah.
I feel like, you know, it's always a great game with them. Obviously, they're a tough team, but we beat them before. So, I mean, I think we play them a couple more times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a couple more times. So it's
you definitely play again in the fall. That's going to be that's the nationally televised game, I think.
Yeah, well, there we go.
Yeah.
Then we
can I think September 4th.
Yeah, there you go. See, so we'll kick their ass that game, and then
yeah, we will. Let's
go.
Well, I had a question from my friend Gio, who's a huge supporter of Greenville. Okay, this started in the very first game this club ever played. Owner Katie Harnato FaceTimes me at halftime. And I'm like, what the hell is this? This is weird. Okay, I have to answer this. She's standing next to Gio, and he's telling her, I know Benji. So she calls me. And so I'm talking to, on FaceTime, Gio, huge supporter of Greenville Triumph, with Katie. And since then, we've got our own kind of there's an online supporters group, kind of a rivalry happening with Greenville. He asks, and because he's got his reasons, right? What's your favorite memory of playing with Greenville's Sebastian Velasquez at Real Salt Lake when you guys were together?
Oh, that was cool.
Colombian player, Sebastian Velasquez, now plays at Greenville Triumph.
Yeah, I think he went to like a junior college and got drafted to Salt Lake. Great player. Kind of plays a similar position that I do. Likes to get on the ball a lot. But I mean, we've always been buddies. We've never been, you know, like a rivalry type thing. Now that he's he's back home, I think he's from like the Greenville area. So
he is, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm excited for him to be back home. I know he's a couple years older than me, but I mean, obviously, once we're on the field, then it's like we're enemies, you know. But outside of that, I wouldn't, you know, say anything big about that.
I'm sort of leading the witness here. I need you to tell me that you feel some sort of rivalry with Greenville. It matters a lot to me. Do the four of you feel anything with Greenville? Because we play them again too.
Yeah, let's just say yeah.
Yes.
I'll say yes.
Good answer. All right, you brought it up, Omaha. Greg, who's actually a Forward Madison supporter, wanted me to ask you, celebrating against your former team.
Oh, I'll do it all day, every day. Yeah, I'll do it again. I love scoring against them, so.
Still in the possession of velocity. Heel, off of his heels. Heel scores! Luis Gil against his former team draws level at 2.
Yeah.
All right. If you don't know, it's kind of a thing that happens sometimes in soccer, in football, of like, should you celebrate against your former club, blah, blah, blah. But you dropped the Ronaldo celebration against Omaha.
And I'll do it again. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's getting sub-clipped. Can't wait for that one to get back to get out there. All right. I love it. Okay. Give me a moment. I have to facilitate this conversation while also participating in it. I'm not a professional, folks. I'm just pretending to be one. The Spokane Soccer Show is supported by Spokane City Credit Union. Are you a customer at a big dumb bank? Well, stop it. At a bank, you're just a customer. At a credit union, you're a member and a shareholder. You can help make decisions about what the credit union does do or doesn't do. Banks just want to get bigger by swallowing up smaller banks one at a time until there's only one or two banks left. Nobody wants that. Well, except for big banks. Since 1934, Spokane City Credit Union has remained independent, relevant, and local, with a focus on the financial needs of individuals and families in Spokane City. Go to sccu.net, Spokane City Credit Union, serving Spokane one member at a time. Okay, Coach. Nicole asks, shout out Nicole, I see you. You're looking right at me. 509 Syndicate. How can the supporters, quote unquote, up their game in the stadium? Because I've seen you do this before too. I've had the same impulse myself of you've turned to the crowd, tried to get them involved. There's this, I've brought it up on the podcast. There's moments where something important happens on the pitch. Like we win a free kick in a dangerous area. I keep up bringing up that example, and it's like, that is a really appropriate place to cheer, clap, whistle, scream, do whatever you got to do. That matters. If we get a free kick in a dangerous position, the other team gets a yellow card. Go crazy. And it's actually improved a lot. I've seen the crowd is like really starting to understand those kind of nuanced moments. Is there anything you think about of like, this would be something you'd like the supporters and the fans that go to the games to do?
Yeah, there's so many different ways I could take this, but what you've mentioned is some. But the big thing I'd say is the game itself is so back and forth. There's so much ebb and flow. Sometimes we've got control of the game and we're creating a lot of chances. And on the flip side, sometimes we're sitting deep. We've got to defend for 5, 10, 15 minutes. The team's putting us under a lot of pressure. And for me, being a supporter, it's easy to celebrate the good stuff. Yeah. It's easy to celebrate the good stuff. It's when the team's suffering, that's when they need you the most. You're winning a game, you're under pressure. You're having a bad start to the game. Like, we're not afraid to say this. The first 30 minutes of Omaha we just played away, that was probably one of our worst 30 minutes of the season. If we do that at home, that's when we need the fans to support us and push us through that. And maybe that 30 minutes now becomes a 10-minute bad spell, you know? So for me, that's the most important part of it, is don't just support us when we're winning or when we're scoring goals or when things are going good. Is times in the game will be bad, and that's when we need you the most.
Any of the three of you want to add anything to anything that's been said? You got anything? Come on, Derek. We haven't heard from you in a while.
No, I mean, I think just adding on to that, it's easy to celebrate the goals, the assists, the yellow cards. I think defenders appreciate it equally on the opposite side. When there's a clearance that might look easy from the outside, it's a lot of hard work that guys like Ahmed out here are putting their bodies on the line. You know, he's fighting against a 6'3" forward while also diving to put his body on the line to prevent goals. So little things like that, but I mean, like Benji, you said, I think you guys have done an incredible job of learning those moments already. If you didn't know them coming into the season, and game by game, it's gotten better. You hear more kind of just the crowd getting riled up in certain moments. Everyone can feel the tension in the moment. And that's really exciting for us as players to be able to experience. So keep it up. You guys have been phenomenal, and thank you guys so much for that.
I just want to add one more thing as well, and this is a key note of importance, is games like Richmond, when we were under pressure so much and we got through that. I think it was Omaha. We were winning that game, right? It was a 1-goal game. Games like that where you're there and you're supporting the guys in those dying moments when they're tired, they're exhausted, they're sitting back, they're under a lot of pressure by the other team, and we're leading the game by a goal. You guys have pulled these guys through those moments. So it's important to thank you for that, because without you there and supporting and pushing and giving these guys, you know, a second, a third, a fourth wind, we don't know the answer of whether we walk out of those games with the win or not, but you guys certainly played a massive part in that. So I thank you personally, and I know these guys do too.
I just want everybody to know, Luis is up here looking at my notes, and so I have a really good sense of what he did when he was taking a test in high school. Derek, I got a question from a guy called Tim, a.k.a. Ranting Blue Penguin. He's actually an Omaha supporter, but he had this question. Derek was one of the first two players announced, along with Morgan Hackworth. He's played every minute of the campaign so far. Is that true, Coach? I believe it.
Yeah.
Other than like cup games, right? Yeah. What does it mean to you in terms of your place as like a pillar and a leader of the team? Question from Tim.
Yeah, it's a big honor to have that role. That's something when I had my first conversation with Leigh 6+ months ago now, just kind of hearing about the vision for the club and what they wanted to build. Had no idea that would be my role within the team. I was just excited to come be a part of something new and something fun here in Spokane, and the fact that I've been able to contribute in that kind of role as a little bit of a leader on the team, but also a mainstay on the back line, has been awesome. And I hope that I have not reached the pinnacle of my contributions to the team. I want to contribute more goals, more assists, more wins, all of that throughout the year. But it's a big honor. I know that Leigh has put a lot of trust in me in that position and the rest of the coaching staff. And I have a lot of support from the guys on the field as well. I've had my ups and downs personally throughout the year so far. And in the great moments, I've been picked up by guys and pushed even further. And in the tough moments, they've picked me up and dragged me right along. So it's credit to them as well. And yeah, just a really big honor.
Okay, 509 Syndicate, are you here? Make some noise, 509 Syndicate. We got to get to some of your questions. Carly, is Carly here? Shout out, Carly. This is kind of a quasi-speed round. If you hadn't ended up in this career, what would you see yourself doing?
I don't know. I don't think I
that answer
saw myself.
immediately does not surprise me. This man's been playing professional football since he was 16 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for 15 years, my 15th year. So, yeah, I couldn't see myself, honestly, doing anything else. So that's a tough one for me. Yeah.
Okay, pass. All right, yeah. Andre?
I would probably be playing cricket.
Cricket?
Yeah.
Yes. Let's go. I've watched.
But yeah, I would probably
I don't know
be
the
playing
rules.
cricket. A lot of my friends played cricket, but I wasn't good, so I just leave it alone.
Would you be a batsman? What is that called?
Yeah, batsman.
Did I get it right?
Yeah.
I know cricket.
But I wasn't strong enough to hit a ball for 6, so I wasn't good enough, to be fair.
You and me both, my man. All right, Derek, how about you?
I probably would have gone to PT school. I studied human biology, and that was kind of the trajectory that I knew if soccer didn't work out, I would have wanted to go to PT school and get my doctorate in physical therapy. So shout out to my brother. He just finished PT school up here at Eastern last year, now lives down in Boise as a full-time PT. So kind of wanted to follow in his footsteps if soccer weren't to work out for me.
I think I know the answer to another question I'm going to ask later. Leigh, how about you?
I dabbled in boxing a little bit when I was...
What?
Yeah.
Let's go.
In boxing, but no, that was
But
not
actually, no, let's not go.
That was not the life for me. No, that was not the life for me. I would say I've always had this desire to be a pilot. Yeah, I actually, funny story, I signed up for the Air Force when I was younger back home, and I never told my mum.
The RAF?
Yeah,
okay.
The Royal Air Force, and I never told my mum. You didn't need like parental consent apparently. So I signed up for the Air Force when I was younger, thinking that my mum wouldn't find out. So when they sent my orders to report for testing and stuff like this, she got to the mail before I did, and we'll just say that never went down well.
Wait. Oh, so she knows the Air Force. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't go to the Air Force, so yeah, but a pilot is something that has always intrigued me.
Shout out Leigh's mom, supporter of the podcast, follower of the Spokane Soccer Show. It's a family affair, folks. That's how the Spokane Soccer Show works. It is mostly the family of these folks up here and many others. Favorite food from home that you miss? And have you found a good spot in Spokane to get that food that you miss?
I love Mexican food.
Okay.
So I'm still trying to figure out where
Tacos
where
El Sol?
the spot is. Haven't been there yet.
Oh, yeah. Anybody know Tacos El Sol? That's the place.
All right, there you go.
I got you.
I'll be there. Thank you.
You can go there and you will be watching Liga MX games and you will get a taco combo and you will go home smiling. I'm going to promise you that.
Sounds good to me.
Of course, I miss my Jamaican food, my jerk chicken, oxtail, curry goat. But I haven't been out as yet. It was too cold, so I'm always home, and I made food at home.
Anybody know? Do we have Caribbean food?
I don't think we have any Jamaican food here.
All right. Let's work on that, Spokane. It's an opportunity right there. Derek, how about you?
Tex-Mex food for me. I was in Dallas for 3 years, started my career out there, met my wife out there, and so that's a place that's very near and dear to my heart, and we love our Tex-Mex. Haven't found anywhere here yet that we really, really love. I think De Leon's is probably our favorite, but it's certainly not Tex-Mex. So I think Texas has that crown, and it'll never be taken away.
Oof. It's gotta be an English breakfast. Is there anywhere in town that does that?
I don't know. Are you talking with like the blood beans and stuff?
Blood sausage.
Thank you. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say.
You got sausage. You got what you call over here back bacon, I guess.
Yeah.
Baked beans, blood sausage, mushrooms, a bit of toast, a bit of
so you did
canned tomatoes and sweet corn together.
Okay.
With some HP brown sauce.
Brown sauce.
Yeah.
Shout out. Where's my family? There's my daughter Ivy, my wife Ray, my daughter Greta. We had brown sauce.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's like a barbecue sauce that's got a little bit of extra vinegar in it. It's amazing. Had that for the first time about 2 months ago. Brown sauce.
Brown sauce. It's top.
Sounds terrible, but I promise you it's actually good.
It's top.
Okay.
If you haven't had it, get yourself some.
Ryan Shelley, recent guest on the podcast, asked, since arriving in Spokane, your favorite part of being here?
Favorite part? I mean, I'm a family guy, so I love being like at the riverfront. Yeah, I'm a family guy.
Shout out Riverfront Park.
Yeah, I got a 1.5-year-old, so catch me at the riverfront quite often. We're at the park. We're out and about. Catch me on the playgrounds.
You got to get up to Manitou in the South Hill if you haven't been.
Oh yeah, we've been there too.
You have?
Yeah,
okay.
We've been there too. I mean, it's
Nice.
just more convenient right here. We're close to downtown. But I mean, you got a mix of everything. You got family things. You got things for the younger crowd. And I'm getting up there. So I mean, I'm doing a little bit of everything. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Andre?
As I say, I haven't been out as yet. It's summer now, so I'm gonna try and go out and try a little bit. But my favorite part is go to training and see the boys.
Going where?
Going to training in the morning and see the boys.
Nice.
I think for me, it's probably everything that there is to do around Spokane. You kind of think when you're in Eastern Washington, like it's Spokane and that's it. Like go to Seattle if you want to go have some fun or something, but that's not the case at all, as we found. I mean, you have Coeur d'Alene, a stone's throw away. Sandpoint, my wife and I got up to the middle of nowhere in Canada for a weekend away a month or two ago. And I mean, there's just so many beautiful places outdoors to experience nature. And I love doing that. So it's been great.
There's a lot here that I enjoy. The main thing is the people. I think I've lived in quite a few places in the US. I've been here for like 16 years now, and I've lived in, I think, 6, maybe 7 states. My home away from home is Omaha, Nebraska. We're repping the Nebraska shirt right there. And I find the people here in Spokane that I've come across to be very similar to the people in the Midwest. Just very polite, very friendly, not afraid to say hi, very respectful. All of those things I can explain there. There's all my interactions with people I've had in the city, whether I'm downtown, whether it's in the Perry district, whether I'm in a different part of town. People aren't afraid to say hello and not overstep the boundaries of, spending too much time, for example, right? So yeah, I think the people have been fantastic, and I think what we have at the stadium right now, even on a night like Chivas, where we're playing a friendly game against Chivas U23s and it's raining, and we've got 4,000 people out there. I mean, that's incredible. That stuff doesn't really happen in our league. So,
dude, that night was, I'm not going to do it. I'm tempted to F-bomb. That was effing amazing.
Yeah, that was a really cool night, and to have that show in there just talks a lot about the people of Spokane, in addition to the interactions I've had personally with Sienna, my girlfriend. But yeah, I think the seasons here, I enjoy the seasons. I love the mountains and being outside. So yeah, Spokane checks a lot of boxes for me for sure.
Speaking of the Chivas night, my goodness, I know you all heard us freaking out as supporters of the club, number 30. So, other than all of us losing our minds about Masongo, welcome to the club, shout out Masongo. What was the conversation like within the squad in the dressing room after that game? Do you see what we saw? Were you all like, why are they freaking out about Masongo? It's whatever.
No, I mean, it's cool that it gets the fans engaged with stuff like that. But I mean, we just had vibes afterwards in the locker room. You know, obviously we got a result, and we had a little bit of a break right afterwards. So we were all excited for that. Just kind of capped it off with the positive, and obviously at the end of the day, we got to win.
I wish the owners, I wish Ryan and Katie were here because I could tell them how much we appreciated that as a city to be able to see a club as historically important as Chivas come to Spokane and play. I know that Azriel is from a nearby city of Nayarit. I know that Carlos, I didn't even know this until recently, that's his childhood club that he supported. He tried out. So Carlos Marancio, if you don't know this, he tried out for Chivas as a kid. And he had a bedroom at home that was plastered in Chivas kit, right? And then he goes and plays for Monterrey, another club in Mexico. And while he got signed to Monterrey and got a call from Chivas saying, "We want you now." And he had to have that weird phone call. So really like close connections. I know that Mikey's family is big supporters of Chivas too. So that was a really, really fun experience. And shout out the club for making that happen. This episode of the Spokane Soccer Show is brought to you by Feast World Kitchen. If you know, you know. If you don't know, I'm about to tell you. Think authentic, mouth-watering cuisine from all over the world delivered to your mouth right here in downtown Spokane. Here's the part you might not have known. Feast is a nonprofit that effectively creates chef entrepreneurs by offering a bunch of programs where immigrants and former refugees learn career skills, earn income from their food sales, and build connections in the community. Quick sidebar, I still have daydreams about the beef sambusas and the spicy jollof rice that we had during the AFCON watch party in January. But don't take my word for it. Head down to Feast World Kitchen on 3rd Avenue, follow them on Instagram, or go to their website at feastworldkitchen.org. Let's go a fun, silly one. Your favorite FIFA, or whatever they call it now, FC team. Do you guys play FIFA?
I don't play FIFA. I don't play video games
all
at
right,
all.
great answer.
Yeah,
Andre?
I'm a gamer.
Huh?
I'm a gamer.
Okay, let's hear it. Who's your club?
Real Madrid, but I use Liverpool.
Okay.
Because they have Salah and Van Dijk.
Wait, the other questions follow up from Steven. My wife would embarrass us all with how much I played FIFA. It's bad. I designed kits, custom kits, and would import them into my PC version of the game. It's bad. That's a podcast of itself. You and I should chat someday, Andre. Career mode or Ultimate Team?
Both.
That's a sick man. I like it. Derek?
I'm not much of a gamer. Used to play FIFA when I was a kid, but it's been a while.
All right, Coach?
Absolutely no. Don't play FIFA. Don't have time to play FIFA.
You get to play FIFA. You're managing a team called Velocity
I play
FC.
real life FIFA.
Yeah. You're playing real life FIFA. You're playing real life Football Manager. All right. That's where the real sickos go. They just manage a real team. All right. Lauren, you here? 509 Syndicate? There's Lauren. Lauren, we haven't even met, man. How's it going? We've communicated electronically countless times, and I'm meeting you for the first time. Shout out Lauren, 509 Syndicate. How has the beautiful game changed in the last few years, and how have players and managers had to adapt? I looked up this whole debate about positionism versus relationism. I thought I was pretty dorky and a sicko about soccer tactics. What the hell is that? Let's do that another time. But how has the game changed, and how are we adapting to it?
That is a loaded question.
All right, let's do the TLDR version. I know we're running along here. I appreciate you all.
I'm gonna keep this away from like football and keep this to society. Yeah. So before computer games and whatnot, kids used to play in the streets, right? So kids used to play in the streets from morning to evening. They would be outside playing soccer, playing basketball, playing football, baseball, whatever it was on the streets, getting up to mischief, whatever that was. But when you're doing those things, you're getting into interactions. You get into beef with a friend and you've got to problem solve it. You're playing street ball with your friends and you're going 1v1 and you've got to figure out how you get past this guy who's 6 foot and you're 5 foot, you know. So over time you build a resilience and a grit about you, and that came with a little bit more direct feedback, right? Back then you could give a little bit more direct feedback. Society's changed a lot now to where kids don't really play outside a lot. You don't have those interactions anymore, that conflict resolution, that playing football on the street or basketball on the street. So you're not really in those moments anymore. And naturally, society's evolved in a way to where conflict now and direct feedback, it's not as easy to give that or receive it, because you're just not in those environments growing up as a kid. So now you've got to be really thoughtful and intentional about the generation of the player and or coach that you're working with, or the person you're just talking to, because there's two very different approaches there to that person. So take it out to the football context. Yeah, I feel like the game's evolved very much in that way in terms of how you manage people in general, because of how society has evolved in general. Yeah, so a deep response there.
We could do a whole podcast on this. And when we chatted in the first podcast, when you and Gareth came on, we talked about treating a player as a whole person, to understand that there's many dimensions to them. Like, they leave the pitch after training or after a game and they have family, they have friends, they have concerns, worries, whatever. And there used to be a time period, I think, where that was just like thrown under the rug, especially when it comes to like mental health awareness and topics like that. So yeah, I appreciate everything you had to share there, Coach. Wow. Lauren, you asked the ones that we have to do a whole podcast about, my man. I'm just going to say this right now. Should Americans even care about relegation system? Anybody who knows me, we're going to save that for a whole last podcast, because I think of course you should, but it is extraordinarily complicated in the United States. So if you haven't listened to the podcast I've done about that topic in the past, I think you should. Something you're proud of off the pitch.
Oh, my son. Being a father. I mean,
Sawa, you still here?
Oh, she's still there. Yeah, oh, yeah. I love bringing him with me everywhere.
Luis is just going, man.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Okay, love it. Andre, how about you?
Family for me as well. I'm a guy that go home after practice and go on the phone for maybe an hour or 2 hours. Then I nap, get up, eat something, then I do the same thing on the phone. So it's either with my mom or dad, or it's with my son.
Where is your family right now?
Jamaica.
Okay. How often you go back?
When the season finish.
Okay.
So when I leave for preseason, I don't go back unless I get called up for the national team. I don't go back until like November, December.
Okay.
My wife. I don't think professional sports wives, girlfriends get enough credit. When you're moving around the country, one year you're here, next year you're there. Shout out to all you girlfriends, wives. You guys are amazing. I think my wife is the best of them all personally, but it's been...
No, she's not.
It's been a blast since my wife and I got married a year and a half ago, moving across the country to a few different places and just adventuring together. It's been a blast with her.
My answer is very similar. Obviously, my girlfriend Sienna and her family are sitting right here with us at the front. Everyone give them a round of applause. But yeah, family, same thing. You know, being away from my family, who's all in England. You know, in many ways, I am a representation of them in what I do and how I present myself as a person. So yeah, I'm just happy I can make them proud in what we're trying to accomplish here.
All right, we're gonna have some fun for a minute here. I can barely even bring myself to do this, but I'm gonna do it. Kenny Dalglish, Glenn Hoddle, Graham Souness, Ruud Gullit, and Gianluca Vialli for the same team. Do you know what those people have in common? I don't know if I'm a dork, and I don't know if I might have got this, but...
Say the question again.
Kenny Dalglish, Glenn Hoddle, Graham Souness, Ruud Gullit, and Gianluca Vialli for the same team. Something that those players and managers did.
The same team.
Well, Ruud Gullit and Gianluca Vialli did this accomplishment for the same team.
No idea.
I'm going to let you off the hook. These are examples of what are called player managers.
Okay.
Can anybody tell where I'm going with this? Coach Leigh Veidman, could you still do a job?
I've already done a job in training a couple of times, so I would say yeah.
Dude, you just turned 36. You banged goals in for fun for the much-renowned Des Moines Menace. You had 12 goals and 16 appearances not too long ago. By the way, Menace would be a great candidate for a League One team. Anyway, have you thought about it? Tell the truth. Come on.
No.
Anybody who's seen, we get invited. I'm actually, this is ridiculous if you know how much this is just a hobby for me. I get invited to go to Media Day. And at this Media Day thing, when I do go, I got once upon a time to see, Derek called this, it's a very weird term he used to describe this drill. I thought it was just like King of the Hill, like finishing drill. You basically stop the ball at the top of the box and then first time. And I'd never seen Leigh more excited. He was a huge participant in this drill, so you haven't thought about it, just lacing him up, getting out there.
No.
All right, well. All right, Coach, one more. Is there a player or coach that you try to emulate? If so, what part of your training or tactical approach encompasses that? Shout out Katie. Is Katie here, 5'9"? No.
I don't think there's one. I think if you look at different coaches across the world, different generations, you look at how, for example, De Zerbi plays football and his style. You look at Klopp's management style as a person and the way he is. You look at how Pep plays. Marcelo Bielsa. There's all these different styles that you can take bits and pieces from, whether it's football or whether it's just management in itself. So I wouldn't say there's one guy. I think there's different coaches out there that I've enjoyed learning about and has played a part in my development as a coach.
Any one of you on this one, best piece of advice you've ever been given, footballing or otherwise? Soccer, sorry, good God.
I mean, I don't know. That's tough. I think a big one is just to enjoy what you do. Have a purpose for it, but enjoy it at the end of the day. Soccer's always kind of been my purpose, and I try and enjoy it as much. It kind of took me a while to get to that point to where I really want to enjoy it, and I feel like I'm finally at that point. And you can see it. I mean, even to my celebrations, and then after the games, enjoying it with the fans as well, because I feel like that's a big part of it.
Okay.
I mean, for me, back home in Jamaica, I'm from a pretty rough background. For me to give an advice to any young player, I would say be coachable and listen. Because when you listen, you learn more.
Listening.
I would always say that.
Okay.
I think similar to Luis, just love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. There's some saying that's similar to that. And
yeah.
I truly feel that's the case for me. Even on the bad days, I go home and I still absolutely love what I do for a job and wouldn't change a thing about it. So enjoy what you do and you'll never work a day in your life.
Uh-oh.
Derek actually just stole mine.
Up here.
So I'd say the second one is just be a good person and work hard. And if you get those two things right in life, you're probably going to do pretty well.
Where do you see yourself in? This is a tough one to ask because everyone in here, I think, is like, oh, they're going to be here. They're going to be playing for Velocity and coaching Velocity. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully still playing.
Okay.
I mean, I still want to, hopefully my son can still see me playing, and then him actually see me in the stands. I mean, I know he goes to the games and stuff like that, but have him at the age where, okay, now he's running around and kicking the ball, and hopefully I can be an example for him.
Football is unpredictable. You don't know where it would take you tomorrow. And for me, I just take it as it is. Hopefully I'm still playing, as Luis would say.
I think I just want to be doing something that I love still. Whether that's football, I'm going to keep playing football as long as I can until that flame slowly burns out. I don't know if it ever will, but if it does, that'll be the time to be done and hang them up. But I think I'll definitely be doing something I love. There's no doubt about that.
5 years, right? That was the question, 5 years?
Yep.
I would say at least winning our second championship, right?
Hey, there
In 5
it
years.
is.
No pressure.
Let's go. Let's go. I actually really like how some of you responded to that. All of you responded to it. I mean, I listened to an interview the other day with my guy, Kieran Trippier, and he said something about in 5 years, that question got asked to him, and he's like, I'm going to still be playing. And Gary Neville, host of the podcast, was asking this question, was kind of like in disbelief, like, wait, what? And Trippier meant it. And he said, and Gary Neville asked him a follow-up question, you mean even if you drop down a couple leagues? And of course, Gary Neville has a bit of ownership in Salford, who's in League 2 right now. And he's like, I'm going to call you soon when you do drop down. But I love that answer because he's basically saying, I don't care. I don't have ego. If I'm playing in, you know, in the United States context, MLS, USL Championship, USL League 1, I don't care. If I'm playing football and I'm enjoying it, I'm going to keep doing it. And I thought that answer was great. Another thing he said that I thought was really cool was, and I'm curious if you want to speak on this, any of you, is he said, train how you play. Tell me what that means to you, and do you agree with him?
Yeah, it's incredibly important, and the big thing I talk about a lot with the group, and the group do a very, very, very good job of this, is not just talking about what that means, it's doing it. Is when we train, whether it's for 60 minutes or whether it's for an hour and a half, is the intensity has got to replicate the game. And you can't perform on a Saturday or a Sunday if you're not training that same way. It just doesn't work that way. So it's an important thing for us to set training up in a way to where we foster that environment and bring out the competitiveness that is there on a Saturday. In some ways, it's not always the same because you don't have 4,000 people screaming at you from behind, which is also brings on that little bit of extra motivation. But yeah, the big thing for us is putting actions behind our words, and these guys do a fantastic job of that every day.
As I say, football is unpredictable. Just as the guy said, it doesn't matter where you're playing, just be happy because a lot of people out there is not playing. So whether you're here or in another country playing, just enjoy it. But also with train how you play, I have played with players that, man, when I look at them, I'm like, bro, how you do this? Especially fitness tests. But when the light's on, sometimes I know I can't be a bad teammate, but it's like, nah, man, there is players out there, when that light's on, there's a chip on their shoulder. Trust me. There is players out there, they don't train at that level, but when that light's on, they will tear people apart.
Who from the club tends to just go a little extra even in training? Go ahead. If they're not here, Ahmed, I'm looking at you.
I don't know. I mean, you kind of get it. It depends on the day, I think.
Okay.
It depends on what we're doing. I know I'm in there sometimes. I'm battling with Ahmed sometimes, you know. He's like twice my size, and I'm trying to win a header, you know, a 50-50 ball with him. I'll try and, you know, dunk on him here and there. I think I'm still beating you 1-0 on it, but I try and go at the defenders. You know, I try and put pressure on them as well.
He's trolling you right now. He wants you to come up here, Ahmed. I have to just take a quick sidebar and say, do these USL teams not watch the clips? Do they not pay attention? This out-swinging corner routine that you two have, it's unbelievable. It's like Ahmed throws on an invisibility cloak on the back post. What is with... I know you don't have a mic, Ahmed, so Luis is going to have to speak on it. You guys, I have it in a clip of my media day. It's like, and then you've scored 2 goals like that.
I mean, that's why you train, right? I mean, that's why you do it. The way you train is the way you play. So, I mean, it's something that we took to the board and we wanted to execute on. And I mean, at the end of the day, you got to put the ball at the back of the net, and that's what he does best.
So I think I kind of just answered my own question. All right. We're coming to a close. Everybody feeling okay? We got room for a couple more here. Brennan, you all right? I got to check on my guy, Brennan, you know, just make sure he's still got a pulse back here. He's all right. The highest high and the lowest low of this season so far?
I mean, I think we've had quite a few of those. There's certain games where, you know, we get those last minute goals and we feel like we're at a high, you know, and then it quickly comes down with the loss. I think we got to figure out how to get into that middle part, the in-betweens where, I'm not saying that we draw games, but if we do have a bad loss, at least we played well. We got to find that kind of middle ground. But I mean, I feel like a bunch of our games have been a lot of highs where we've came out and we're like, damn, like, all right, we're feeling good now, and a couple of games like last week where we came out of that and we're like, damn, okay, this is a tough one. But the when we're low, you got to kind of forget about it and move past it as quickly as possible, because there's always going to be a game the next week.
Yeah, it's like we move. That's why that expression exists. I think I just learned this from the young people. We move. Anyone else want to answer that? Highest high, lowest low. Andre, come on.
I would just go for the high. I didn't know much about the league until I joined here, and I looked up a little bit about Omaha. I have a really good friend on the team, and when I talk with him, his word was, the coach said, this team is going to be one of the best team we face. Last game, Jerome, the center back, when I talk to him, and I tell him we will get them back when we see them. But just to hear that from him and his coach is saying that, and we are a new team, I think that's massive, man.
Yeah.
And where we sit in the league, I always talk with Ahmed, like, we win 2 games and we back. We might end up at first in the league.
Yeah, it's hard to understand whether or not Spokane, gets this sometimes. But trust me, I spend way too much time investigating how the rest of the country, supporters groups, I constantly tell the 509 Syndicate that I'm in a nerd group with other supporters groups. Everybody is taking Spokane very, very seriously, and they're super impressed with what we're doing so far. Sorry, I had to interject there.
Did you see before the season start where they put us? You see where they put us before the season
Oh, yeah,
start?
of course.
There was a prediction.
Yeah. We're going to be like 11th or 12th.
Yeah, I don't think they're going with that
Yeah, those
anymore.
people can suck it.
I don't think so.
Derek, what do you got? Highest high, lowest low.
Highest high, I think the Omaha game at home, paired with the first goal we scored at home against Richmond. And that's credit to you guys. I mean, just yes, as a team, we feel just the joy of that moment. But when you are surrounded by 4,000 or 5,000 plus, I mean, I get chills thinking about it. That first game, I remember during the anthem just looking around, being like, wow, this is what we're going to be playing in front of all year long. So yeah, I mean, those moments just with our fans, the community, the city of Spokane, I think highest high is easy.
Last one was tough. It was a tough one to take. So I would say that's probably my lowest one so far this season. And I would probably echo what Derek said, is just seeing that first game filled with you guys and the showing that you gave us on day one has been incredible. And the fact that you're still doing that almost halfway into the season just shows what you're about and what Spokane's about. The big thing for me now is, can we keep that the same all year? For those who are not educated about the USL in general and football as a whole, really, is every team has incredible highs in the season and every team has some lows in the season. And that's why I echo what I said before about we work so hard every day here with these guys so we don't have those lows. But sometimes in football it's inevitable and it happens, and that's where you're the most important, is making sure that you're there for these guys when those moments come and if they come. So kind of a reflection of where we've been and what might come. We're going to need you guys, whether it's win, loss or draw, and that's massively important for these.
I just want to end this podcast. I think I'm ready to end this. I almost don't want to let you all go. This is so much fun. By saying thank you, Coach Veidman. Thank you, Derek Waldeck. Thank you, Andre Lewis. Thank you, Luis Gil. Thank you to the 509 Syndicate for your tireless support of this club and all the great questions that you submitted. I wouldn't have had even the shell of a podcast here if I hadn't gotten so many of these great questions. Thank you, Katie and Ryan Harnato, for pulling the trigger on this whole thing and making this happen so that Spokane can show up and watch professional soccer. That includes the staff and front office, the performance team, the coaches who aren't here, and I'm going to send some DMs after this. I'm going to send some sternly worded DMs that I don't see Renato and the crew here. Thank you, Flatstick Pub and the Largent family, for supporting this podcast. And last but very much not least, thank you to my wife, Ray, who's sitting right over there, and my daughters, Greta and Ivy. This podcast will be published on YouTube soon, assuming that camera worked tonight, and of course, Spotify. And I close always by saying thank you for your support. Be sure to, what do they say? Rate, review, follow. If you want to keep up on all the good stuff, you got to follow us on Instagram. And that's it for the show. Up the Falls.